It's crispy, crunchy, sweet and salty. Crispy chicken with honey garlic sauce. And as with all these dishes, or these types of dishes, we're gonna start with your marinade. I'm gonna start with some garlic and ginger, nice and finely chopped. Whilst we're here, I've got my ginger and garlic chopped up, ready for my marinade, but I've got a few things that I'm gonna sort of stir fry into the sauce as well. Now some lemongrass, some more garlic, and some chili, all finely chopped. Next up, I'm gonna slice my chicken. Now I've got chicken thighs here, and I want sort of strips, good chunky strips of chicken thigh. You want them thick enough to be able to get a good bite into each piece. Chicken's been cut, so back to the marinade. We've got your garlic and your ginger, some Shaoxing rice wine, about a teaspoon of sesame oil, a good pinch of white pepper, and some salt. Give that a good mix. I'm gonna have more seasoning in the actual batter as well, so you don't have to over salt it at this stage. Just get all that garlic and ginger mixed in well with the chicken. And you could sit that covered in the fridge overnight before you use it, or if you're hungry and you just want to go straight into it, you can get straight onto the batter. The batter, got some plain flour, and it's about 80% plain flour to 20% corn flour, or corn starch if you're across the pond. Some bicarb, and then seasoning for that flour, a bit of salt, black pepper, turmeric for some colour, and some paprika. Give that a good mix through and start to pick up that marinated chicken into the flour. That turmeric and that paprika really sort of accentuate the colour when we deep fry these chicken pieces. And this is much like frying up your meat for sweet and sour things. What you're looking for is a dry, dusty white, well, not quite, off-white consistency around each piece of chicken. Now this last thing I'm gonna do is just make up a quick wrapping sauce. And this wrapping sauce is really easy. You're talking sort of 4 parts light soy sauce, 3 parts honey. You're gonna get flavour from the garlic, lemongrass and chili, which will stir fry into the wok before sauce into the wok anyway. And what you want is just a nice, sweet, salty glaze. Got a bit of dark soy here. I'm just gonna put a dash in to deepen the colour a little bit. And then we're ready to fry. So you wanna test your oil, and my recommendation is never go sort of more than halfway up the wok if you can. And you want it, anything wooden will bubble up or fizz up at around 180 degrees C, so that's ready. When you pop your pieces of chicken in, you want to just sort of dust bits of the excess flour off and then just lay them in carefully so that they fry nicely. And don't overfill your wok with chicken. You might need to cook this in a couple of batches. You can see the turmeric sort of just leaking into the oil straight away. And that will crisp up, or it'll change the colour of the chicken pieces, give them that nice sort of golden colour. You want to fry your chicken until it's crispy, but you're talking maybe sort of 3 to 4 minutes. And if you want it super crispy, you can also double fry it. Now if you are going to double fry it, it's worth just letting the oil heat up again in between before you then dunk your chicken back in for that extra crispiness. With that second fry, you're looking at no longer than a minute. To finish off, you're going to get your mix of spices, so your lemongrass, garlic and chili. You want to get your garlic to a nice sort of crisp finish before you pour your sauce in. And that lemongrass should really sort of bounce off that wok. Once your garlic starts to catch, then Be prepared, get ready with your sauce. High heat, and just before it burns, pour your sauce in. Bring that to a vigorous boil. And that honey should start to caramelize quite quickly. You want to get your sauce to a sort of syrupy texture before you toss your chicken into it. Chicken in, flick that through. And your dish is done. Crispy chicken and garlic honey sauce. My favorite part is actually all that garlic and chili. It's crispy, crunchy, salty, sweet. I think I missed out one word in my initial description, and it's got a good bit of spice to it as well. These garlic-filled noodles are dripping with garlic butter with an Asian twist. It's the ultimate garlic shrimp or prawn noodles. It's a garlic shrimp noodle, the ultimate garlic shrimp noodle. I'm saying shrimp a lot, but it's prawns. Prawns and shrimps, shrimps and prawns. But more importantly, we're starting with a whole load of garlic, all finely chopped. You can see that is a lot of garlic. I'm gonna finish the garlic sauce off with these Chinese chives. So I've got these Chinese chives here, a little bit more vegetable-like than a Western chive. A great natural garlicky flavor too. Some spring onion, again, finely chopped. It's a great time to talk about our sponsors, Neff. So we're starting on the induction here because I'm gonna blanch my prawns and I want my water to come up to heat really quickly. You can actually keep the heat across the whole hob. And if you haven't used the induction before, it really does get a pan of boiling water up to speed in seconds. So that was literally less than 30 seconds and it's come to boil. Now these prawns, I'm blanching them just to sort of get rid of any sort of impurities or solid impurities. So it's nice and clean. Each prawn is nice and clean and crisp. I don't want to overcook my prawns, but you can see the scum sort of forming on the top of that water there. So at that point, just remove your prawns and straight into cold water. Let these cool and they'll have a nice clean bite. Now this Neff gas wok burner is great for a round bottom wok because it's got this added wok ring accessory, just allowing it to sit perfectly on top of the gas. Now I'm going to start by stir frying my noodles. I've got these lovely egg noodles. You can use egg noodles or alkali noodles, whichever you want, but they've already got a little bit of oil around them, these fresh egg noodles. And I'm going to stir fry those to heat them up and serve them up straight away before I then make a sauce, that garlicky, buttery, prawny sauce. Smoking hot wok, my noodles can go straight in. And as I say, I'm just kind of warming these noodles through, not adding any flavour into them because the garlic sauce is where all the flavour is going to come from. I'm just going to add a little dash of light soy into the noodles. I use the rest for the actual sauce. And then I'm going to serve those up and they're ready for my garlic sauce. Now, this garlic sauce is the ultimate garlic wok fried sauce, but I'm going to turn the heat down to a low heat now. But to start frying the garlic, I'm going to use just some vegetable oil. Low heat, garlic's in. I'm kind of stewing this garlic in the wok so that it doesn't burn and crisp up too quickly. Now, whilst we're on a low heat, my garlic is kind of just turning that lovely sort of light brown colour. I'm going to add a whole load of butter. And this will melt through on that low heat and create a wonderful garlic butter to die for. And that mixture of the butter and that slight bit of vegetable oil just prevents it from burning too quickly. And that frothing, it's a good time to start to add the rest of my seasoning ingredients. Some oyster sauce, light soy, some rice wine. And if you're used to the channel, you'll realize that this is a very odd thing to me to be doing in the wok. Little drizzle of sesame oil. I'm just turning the heat up, giving that good mix through. Look at that. With that oyster sauce, the butter in there, the light soy, it's all quite salty. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of sugar for a nice balance, because garlic in itself has a great sort of natural sweetness to it. And then I'm gonna whack the heat up slightly, add my prawns, which remember have been blanched already. And on this higher heat, I'm just kind of allowing that buttery sauce to sort of mop around all those lovely prawns or shrimp. I can smell that garlic starting to caramelize now. And at this point, once you've got this almost sort of syrupy golden brown color, I'm gonna have this on a high heat and add a little bit of chicken stock. Now bring that to a vigorous boil. Once you've got this almost creamy texture in that sauce, then all my chives, my Chinese chives and spring onion can go in. One quick stir through, don't overcook them, and then pour them straight over your noodles. The ultimate garlic prawn noodles. I'm gonna get a good bit of that garlic butter sauce. Oh wow. Wow, 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 wee wow. Let us know in the comments below whether there's anything that butter doesn't make better. This week, it's a classic school wok dish, Sichuan chicken. So we're gonna start with a little bit of onion and red pepper. For some reason we have massive onions in the school, so I'm just gonna go for a quarter here. If you had a small onion, one small onion will do fine. The general gist of sort of Chinese style presentation of food is if one thing's sliced, everything else needs to be sliced. So my chicken is sliced, not diced. So I'm going for slices of onion and pepper. And this is kind of like a slightly westernified style Sichuan chicken. But we've been doing this since day one in the school, and it just works an absolute treat. Some red pepper. Again, the onion's sliced, pepper's going to slice as well. I'm just setting up my wok clock of ingredients here. So starting at 12 o'clock with my first ingredient is going to hit the wok, and then following round. I've got some dry red chilies here. Now, your dry red chilies, which a lot of people call Sichuan chilies or Sichuanese chilies, would have actually originated from Central America. But the reason why it works so well with Sichuanese cuisine is because of the actual, because of the actual Sichuan peppercorns themselves. And Sichuan peppercorns, although they're called peppercorns, they're actually berries that come off like an ash bush. And it's got a really sort of tingling, almost mentally taste to it, and it leaves this very sort of tingling feeling on the tip of your tongue. It's one of those sort of love-hate sort of flavors, I think. The Chinese call mala. It comes from here, so I'm going to just start to compile my spices. With that, we're going to add a bit of garlic and some chili. It's got more chili. I've got a couple of bird-eye chilies here. It's going to make it pretty spicy. Of course, you could go for less if you weren't so keen on the spice. A couple of cloves of garlic. Now you can either just slice this or finely chop it. Up to you. Doesn't really matter. I'm feeling like slicing today, so I'm just going to keep it in nice thin slices of garlic. So that's going to go along with my chili, Sichuan peppercorns. Then my soaked dry red chilies to go with that. All I have to do now is marinate my chicken. I've got chicken thigh, so it's got that nice bit of marbling and fat in there. We're going to start to marinate it very simply with a little bit of light soy sauce. It's about a tablespoon of light soy sauce. Dash of sesame oil. A pinch of sugar. The Chinese believe that everything we cook has its own sweetness. So you're trying to accentuate or amplify that sweetness with that sugar. And then a pinch of 5 spice to go with that. You don't need a lot of 5 spice. 5 spice has got some really strong flavours in there, you know, your star anise and your cinnamon, your clove. So just a little pinch, just to give it that sort of sweet aroma. Now with this, I'm going to put a sort of heaped teaspoon of corn flour into that. And that corn flour in the meat, once it's sort of massaged through, will then sip into the stir fry sauce and we'll get that nice sort of silky finish. You want enough corn flour so it makes a sort of creamy texture around the pieces of chicken. Right, my chicken is ready to stir fry. All I have to do now is make up my sauce. So the sauce is made up of the following ingredients. We've got some doubanjiang or some chili bean sauce. So 1 to 2 teaspoons, depending on how spicy you like it. A little bit more light soy sauce for saltiness, so a tablespoon and a half, let's go for. Rice wine, that'll thin that out. So Shaoxing rice wine. And I actually put a little bit of hoisin sauce into this, just to balance out the saltiness and thicken up the sauce. And that'll caramelise nicely. Let's give that a good mix around. Now, you don't need an excessive amount of sauce for this. What I want is just enough sauce to wrap around the chicken and give it that nice sort of caramelized finish. So my sauce at the end of the stir fry. So we've got my wok clock ready. Onions first, your peppers. I'm actually going to put the chicken here just so we don't choke everyone up. And then the garlic, chili and Sichuan peppercorns go in after that. Last but not least, some cashews to add a bit of crunch. From here on in, it's easy, guys. It's all about the wok cooking, knowing when to sort of move your wok around, change your heat. So I'm going to start it off on a nice high heat. Onions in. Much like all my actual Wok Wednesdays, got to move that heat around and move that wok hay, that wok's air around the right way. I don't want to overcook the onions or the peppers because the chicken's going to take a few minutes to cook through when it gets into the wok as well. So just push that to the back and then get your peppers in. I'm not going to add any oil to this yet until the chicken goes in. The constant movement of the wok is really important. You can either stir, fold, give it a wok toss, or later on, a little bit of a tummy in the head, so round and back and forwards with your wok to keep that wok moving. At this point, you either push everything to the back if there's enough space, or you can take that first bit of veg out of the wok and then bring your chicken in. I think I've got enough space there. So oil in, ready for my chicken, smoking hot, and layer that chicken into that hot oil. I'm just going to start to press into that chicken here and bring my onions and peppers over the top so they don't burn. And for the first sort of 30 seconds or so, you want to just press into that chicken to sear nicely. Once you get a good sear on that chicken, then give it a turn. And sear the other side. You can see quite a lot of smoke coming out of the wok right now. I am sort of jigging it around to bring that smoke out of the wok just to make sure that my meat doesn't burn. My chicken's kind of half cooked right now, and it's got a nice sort of colour around the edge of the pieces of chicken, which is good. So to me, I can start to bring in the rest of the flavour. If you can still hear me, because that is really sizzling away. So I'm just going to push that to the back. Last little bit of oil here, just for the spices. So my garlic and chilies and Sichuan peppercorns can go in together. Bring that chicken over the top again so that doesn't burn. And that flavour will really start to pack in quite quickly now. The sauce is going to come in as the wok is really smoking hot, and you can see it's building up some smoke and heat now. Just pour that round the edge. You can see it's immediately bubbling away. Tummy in there. Oh, that is smoking hot. You can really, that chili and the Sichuan peppercorn hit me pretty hard. Give that a good flick through. Oh yeah. Real wok cooking that. Your cashews go in last because you want to keep their crunch. Now I'm just going to cook this to a point where all that sauce is just wrapping around the chicken nicely. Okay, that's done. So I'm just going to take a little bit out for a bit of taster. So what you want from a good stir fry, the meat, is a slight char, good bit of smokiness. That will work well with the chili. There's a deep, savoury and spicy flavour of that. I'm getting the tingle on the tongue now.